So, for the past week, I have had nothing but the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer on my mind. All of those new creatures have just been kind of swimming around in my brain and I just simply can't get them out. And so, as a result, I want to talk about it. So, that's what we're doing right here. I'm going to go through every single creature that shows up in this trailer and we're simply just going to talk about it. Full disclosure before we start though, I completely understand the in-universe lore for these creatures. I completely understand that this is the island of the misfit dinosaurs, and there's like specific reasons why they look the way that they do. However, they are still creature designs, and I can still have opinions on designs. Like if I say I dislike a design, I just dislike a design. It doesn't matter what the explanation for why it looks like that is, it's just I simply don't like it. Disclaimer out of the way, let's get into this. So the first creature we see in the trailer is the Titanosaurus. I didn't talk about this nearly as much as I probably should have, but I actually, why do you keep doing this? Every time I'm recording. But every time I look at this image, like the more I like it. There are elements that I dislike about this creature, and that, I did mention that in the initial video. I don't like those fins. I don't like, the structures on its neck towards the base of its head, and I don't like the structures towards the base of its tail. I understand that those are likely a reference to Titanosaurus from a Godzilla film, but it's still not like my favorite addition to a dinosaur design. But those aside, these guys actually look fantastic. Like I love the way that they look. I love how thick their neck is. It's like it feels very fitting for a titanosaur. Their tails look awesome, even though they turn a lot more whip-like towards the end, which is likely not too possible for this type of animal. I really like the way that the heads look, and I like their whole posture, their skeletal structure. The whole body, I think, looks fantastic. It's just basically that nitpick that I have, which is those added fins. Everything else, I think, looks really good about this animal, and I'm actually quite excited to see it in the movie. Like, I really think that this whole scene is going to be maybe a little bit more reminiscent to the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus scene, which is, it's always a good thing to have in a Jurassic franchise movie. So I'm pretty excited to see it. And we have two of them with pretty good quality CGIs. So yeah, out of all of these designs, these have to be some of my favorites. I think that they look pretty cool overall. After that, we are introduced to a velociraptor in a vat. A two-headed velociraptor in a vat, likely, hinting at the fact that they went through a lot of trial and error when they were first cloning dinosaurs. So they just cloned one that didn't come out quite right. I think it's really cool to see something like that. It's of course the classic Jurassic Park velociraptor right here. It kind of looks a little bit like the Lost World version with some striping that's reminiscent to the tiger stripes. I don't know if that is the case. I don't know if I'm just bad at judging the colors, but that's what it looks like to me. Like, I don't think we're going to be seeing too much of this. I think this will be one of those things that they're like walking into a facility and they see a lot of failed experiments, and this is going to be one of them. I think that's the extent of it. But regardless, it's still a cool little thing. And it looks like a practical effect, which is always really cool to see. But in that same vein, we of course see these big meaty claws right here. Now, of course, these are likely dromaeosaur claws or, raptor claws. And there's actually a couple different possibilities of what kind of raptor these belong to. Of course, the most obvious and likely suspect is Velociraptor. As I've said in previous videos, we still have yet to go through a single Jurassic franchise movie without Velociraptor in it. Well, I mean, we do have the two-headed Velociraptor, but, Velociraptor that's like running around and could potentially hurt you. So that is the most likely candidate, and it likely has a new design, and it might look really cool. I haven't looked at any of the rumors of what this potential Velociraptor could look like, but I'm sure it would look very cool. Another possibility that I've seen a lot of people talk about is the two-headed raptor. Now, personally, I don't think that's the case. In fact, I hope it's not the case, but, there's already a giant mutant dinosaur confirmed for this movie, so maybe they would go that far. I'm not too sure, but I still think it's kind of unlikely they would take that direction with a recognized dinosaur like Velociraptor. And the third option is a theory of mine, Utahraptor. I just want Utahraptor in one of these movies. I don't know if that's the case. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on from the feet, though. After that, we have Quetzalcoatlus. Of course, these guys have a different design, and, like I mentioned in the intro, the reason why is probably because these guys are failed attempts at Quetzalcoatlus or something along those lines. Of course, I don't really like their design, regardless of the in-universe explanation. I just don't really like it. It takes a different direction for a pterosaur that I don't really need to see. Now, what I will say, and what many others have said as well, is that this is kind of a little bit more reminiscent to a Hatzegopteryx, which is another massive Asdarchid, really tall and heavy Asdarchid pterosaur. Hatzegopteryx has a more broad and thicker beak, which is what's represented right here. It was also overall a lot more robust and stocky, which again is represented right here. Now, I kind of wish that they simply just went the Hatzegopteryx route because, while this isn't paleo accurate as Hatzegopteryx, I could kind of see this like as a failed attempt at Hatzegopteryx. And then it would still look a little bit closer to the animal, but just a little bit off. But that aside, there still are some good things about this that I think are pretty cool, like the colors. I really like blue, and blue is pretty emphasized right here on the animal's head. And I like the darker body. So overall, it's not my favorite design, and it's probably going to be one of my least favorite designs, but it's got some merit to it. Then we get to see the back of a Dilophosaurus. Now, I said in my initial trailer reaction that this kind of looks like it might be a bigger Dilophosaurus, which would be really cool because I really want a fully grown Dilophosaurus in the franchise, a lot more reminiscent to the size of the novel version, which is a lot closer to the real life animal size. Like, I would love to see that, but of course, I'm not too sure if this is a, quote unquote, fully grown Dilophosaurus. Regardless, the colors are really cool, and the quality of the CGI is really cool. I really like the hints of like green, as well as the very vibrant orange with yellow in the frill. It looks like it'll be a pretty cool design overall. Then there is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, of course, I already talked about this, and I already said that this is probably my favorite T-Rex in the whole franchise so far from what we've seen. And that mainly boils down to its overall design. It's a lot more beefy, like it's got a lot more meat on its bones. Its neck is a lot thicker, and all around it seems like it's a lot more in line with the real life T-Rex. It also has extremely pronounced eyebrow ridges, which is really cool. And those colors are just fan-flippin-tastic, man. It just like, we have kind of tiger stripes going on. I mean, we already saw that looked fantastic with Velociraptor in the Lost World, and it looks fantastic on T-Rex right here. So I think that the T-Rex will certainly be a standout for me. I just think that they knocked it out of the Jurassic Park with this one. There was a lot of speculation that it seems like it had lips, and I was one of those people who kind of speculated that. But as we can see later in the trailer, as it's biting down into the water, likely recreating the Jurassic Park novel boat scene, but we can see that it doesn't have lips, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's fine. I'm very excited to see this T-Rex in action, and it's just... I think it's going to become my favorite in the whole franchise because so far it already is. Then, of course, there's the Spinosaurus. Now, I actually did a full video kind of breaking down the Spinosaurus and talking about it in relation to the JP3 Spinosaurus and the real-life Spinosaurus. So if you want, to get a little bit more information on that, just go and check out that video. It'll simply be here on my channel. But my overall thoughts are that I don't really hate this design. I think that there's some really good things about the design. There's some things I'm not crazy about, like the way that the neck looks, and of course that massive ear that exists for some reason. But there are things that I like the sail, the colors of the sail, and the fact that it has like a basilisk-like tail. I think that's fantastic so far, so there's a lot of good things about this design, and just some things I'm not crazy about. Or the Mosasaur. I love this Mosasaur so far. It's still oversized, which is a common occurrence for Jurassic World mosasaurs, because of course the original Jurassic World one was oversized too, and this one's kind of like just in that same vein. But this one is overall a little bit more of a redesign. It has smoother skin, it lacks the osteoderms that was present in the previous design, because Mosasaurus did not have that in real life, and it was something I really didn't like. So those are not here, which is awesome. Its whole shape looks great, the skull looks great, and it also has a tail fluke, which a lot of people seem to always think that this is a megalodon fin. It's not, it's the tail fluke that's on Mosasaur's tail. And the colors are great. It has some counter shading that is very reminiscent to, underwater creatures that we have today, such as, sharks. So I really do think that the Mosasaur is going to be a standout in this. I think it's going to be really cool to see it. And the quality of its CGI also looks fantastic, especially in this shot. I'm like really impressed with that. And then finally, the big one. Not the Velociraptor big one, the mutant big one. So the D-Rex. The D-Rex was a creature that was rumored to show up in this movie that I never believed. I didn't think that they were going to take that route because I kind of thought they were done with the sort of fictional dinosaurs, after their whole experimentation with hybrids in the previous trilogy. So I was genuinely kind of surprised to see that giant knuckle just walk out of the darkness in the trailer. You can probably see it in my face in the trailer reaction that I really wasn't too crazy about that. And I'm still not. I'm still not too crazy about that. I'm trying to keep an open mind about it. You know, I'm obviously going to see the movie. Like, who knows? I might end up liking it, but I just won't know until I watch that movie. Now, I want to clarify. I do think it's a good design. I think it's a really cool monster design that they have going on here. Of course, behind the scenes information states that they took inspiration from the Xenomorph from the Alien movies. They took inspiration from the Rancor from the Star Wars movies, from Return of the Jedi to be more specific, and the Book of Boba Fett. And they took inspiration from Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is a really cool creature. Those are really good creatures to kind of have meshed together because you get a really interesting creature design. I like this design. I just don't like it in a Jurassic film. And again, I completely understand that this is supposed to be a failed attempt at a dinosaur. This was one of InGen's first goes at cloning dinosaurs. I understand that. But I don't like this outcome. I don't like this result. I don't think they necessarily had to take that route for this movie. Because, like, really my thing is I don't think they need to make fictional dinosaurs. Really, the fossil record shows us a lot of dinosaurs that could be terrifying if they're utilized properly, like Megaraptora. You know, the Megaraptors are notoriously like what people would call creepy dinosaurs that have a very strange kind of slim snout with a mouthful of teeth and these massive arms with huge and powerful claws. You could probably utilize something like that, especially one like Megaraptor itself, which was a pretty big animal in general and could be pretty terrifying to come across in the wild. But instead, they just keep making hybrids, or now they're leaning towards mutant dinosaurs. And, you know, again, I understand this is a failed attempt. It's just not necessarily my cup of tea right now. Again, I could be completely wrong. I could watch this film and I could eat my words from that point on. Like, maybe I absolutely love its portrayal when I watch the movie. Maybe I love it when it fights a T-Rex or something. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it could. Maybe I'll think that that's the coolest fight in the Jurassic franchise history. But as of right now, I'm just kind of uncertain about it, you know, and that's mainly just me coming off of the hybrid craze that we had for the Jurassic World trilogy. You know, there are some things that I liked about the hybrids, but there are a lot of things that I was starting to dislike about the hybrids, and a lot of that is kind of exemplified in the D-Rex here. So those are my basic thoughts on the D-Rex. I think it is a good design. I think they did a really good job with its design. It's very creepy, especially in this shot right here. I think it'll be a very terrifying creature. I'm just a little bit hesitant about it overall. But that right there is the last of the creatures that show up in the trailer. Be sure to let me know what you guys think. You know, do you like these creatures? Do you dislike these creatures? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and have an awesome day.